if you're asking my preference at 10, it starts with offensive line and ends with defensive line. Like that's really how I look at it. And I agree with you because I've been saying it the whole time. Like you got to follow the money to a certain point. You have to treat this as we're not picking in the top 10 anymore. Like that's what your goal should be. And you don't get many good edge rushers or offensive tackles as you move on in the draft. You can get some damn good guards. You can get a damn good center when you look at the top of the second round. It's been done plenty of times, especially in a draft where if there was multiple players there or a guy that maybe played tackle in college, but probably going to shift on the inside. The interesting one is at 10. There's a lot of conversations, I think, that are going to be very interesting to see what way teams view these prospects. Do they
Yep.
view Will Campbell as a tackle or a guard?
Oh, I can put that one to rest.
Oh, I know. I have a
Yeah,
feeling.
31 teams. This is from somebody on his team.
Mm-hmm.
31 teams that talked to Campbell said he was a tackle. And the 32nd team said guard. And the only reason is because they have two good tackles. They don't need a tackle. So they said guard. So it's 31-1 with an asterisk. Everybody believes Campbell is a tackle, which I don't necessarily believe. That's not necessarily, I don't not believe it, but I'm just saying this is not my opinion. This is from somebody on Will Campbell's team. 31 teams he talked to said you're a tackle. We consider you a tackle. And we're grading you as a tackle. So we can kind of put that one to rest from a league perspective, regardless of what we think of it. And we can have lots of arguments about that.
Yeah, if that is the case, and like let's say the Bears are adamant that they feel that he can play left tackle, you take him. If that was the case, and you believe that he's a future, he has a future at left tackle for you, and you think he can be a stalwart that position, I'm even okay them trying to go and getting him if it fell close to where you were at 10, because I'm always of the opinion that if you think there's going to be a difference maker on the offensive line, sometimes it's worth it to go and get them. So that's one, if they believe that he is a potential left tackle that can take over from Braxton Jones and maybe in the interim can just be that kind of Swiss Army knife to where he can play wherever, because we always say the offensive line you have in week 1 will not be the offensive line you have in week 17. So
Ben said the same thing at the combine. We need to build a bullpen. 9 guys are going to play. We don't need a best 5. Like we need our best 5 to start, but we can't stop there. And I love that answer because again, Chicago's approach for the last 2 to 3 years has been this veneer of like, well, if the starters are healthy, we're great. And you're like, and if they get hurt, what happens?
And Ben likes to bring in the extra offensive linemen as well. Like you saw that a bunch in Detroit. So like if you drafted Will Campbell, even if Braxton Jones is fully healthy, you're still going to see Will Campbell every single week. You're going to see him be able to develop and not have to like be forced in straight away as a rookie to play left tackle, because that is tough. Like you can have a guy come in. He could look, if somebody goes down in training camp for a week or so, it's not a big deal. He gets the reps then. Like I said, if it got to 7 or 8 and you could move to going and get him, if you believe that he's your future there, I'm fine with doing that, because I feel like that's going to be an important position, because I am not of the opinion of paying Braxton Jones $24 million a year. I would much prefer something else. The other question is then, how do people view Membu? Do they view him as primarily a right tackle because he played there in college? I know there's a lot of people that say he played there out of necessity. But again, that'll probably be a question. And then the third one, I think, is always going to be down to what are the medicals like for Josh Simmons for Ohio State.
For sure.
If his medicals are clear,
that's your guy.
He's the guy, because if he didn't have the knee injury,
I don't disagree with that at all.
Mm-hmm. If he didn't have the knee injury, he's a top 5 pick for me. Like he's the one guy that I look at and it's like, yeah, he's the left tackle, and I don't worry about it. And if his medicals come back clear, and you believe, like kind of similar to Will Campbell, that he can be your left tackle for the next decade plus, I don't care if you need to give him time to recuperate. You have Braxton Jones there. You have other guys that can kind of fill in training camp and stuff. I'd draft him because that position is so important.
Yeah.
We will not know because we won't get his medicals. But so this is always going to be a caveat. But if his medicals come back clear, and look, maybe it'll get leaked, that like up to now, most people that have said stuff about it it's been on the more positive side. We don't know that for a fact just yet. We probably won't know until he starts meeting with teams. But again, if they are okay and if they are where he'll be able to recover 100% and teams are not concerned with how the surgery went or how his rehab is going, I wouldn't even think twice and he'd be my pick.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Clean slate across the board. If you look at performance, if you look at tape, Simmons was the clear-cut left tackle with the measurables, with the tape, has an extremely low pressure against percentage. He was a wall. He was exactly what you want as a long-term left tackle. The injury is the question mark, and we will not hear about his medicals. AJ, do we pray his medicals are clear? Sure, for multiple reasons. I hope that I hope that, you know, young players always get to reach their potential, and he's going to need that to reach his. If that comes back and all the teams know it, there is also a really decent chance he doesn't make it because everybody else will know that too. And they also know what's behind him, which is a whole lot of question marks. And we'll see how that goes. You know, Will Campbell's arm length. Everybody says, look, there are two good functional tackles with arms in his inch range, but they're both longer than his. That's it, two. So do you believe he's number 3? Well, some people do, some people don't. Kelvin Banks, I think he's a very solid player. Would I love him at 10 as a value? I wouldn't. I really like Kelvin Banks. And again, a lot of people are saying trade back, and we should address that in this draft. It is going to be difficult to trade back because there is a wide variance of how people view these players, and moving up or down as many as 20 spots, any spot, say, after the Bears, any spot after 10, and maybe some people believe even a couple spots before the Bears spot at spot 10, doesn't provide a huge boost. Now, if you have one guy, and it only takes one team to say, this is our guy, and we don't want to lose him, but teams are not going to pay the typical price to make that move. So people believing the Bears can sell 10 for a king's ransom, which in some years you absolutely can, are going to be sorely disappointed by what they get back. Now, I might not be, because again, there is a wide middle class in this draft that goes really from about the middle of round 1 all the way down to like the middle of round 4. And there is not much difference in gradation in terms of, especially in the really deep classes like defensive tackle and running back, especially. I really thought it about tight end before I went to the combine. I don't think that anymore about tight end. Interior offensive line. I think there are a lot of good starting guards in this class that you can get later. If the Bears want to reinforce guard and say, Jonas Avainea is there at their pick in the 70s at 72, I would snap that guy up in a heartbeat. I believe that guy is a starting guard all day long in the NFL. I do not think it is a backhanded compliment. It is not. He can't play tackle. He could be just like Tooney. He could play tackle in a pinch. He has extensive experience at both right and left tackle, which is awesome. But seeing that guy in person 15 feet away at the combine, that guy is a starting guard in this league and will be for 7 or 8 years. Like, he is an absolute beast. And I absolutely love him, if you can't tell from the tone of my voice. But he's not the only one. There are a lot of players I think can be starting guards. There are not a lot of players that I think can be starting tackles, especially starting left tackles, and not early. Simmons, again, if he's going to be healed, is the one. Then it's probably Membu because of his physical tools. I'm not 100%, as you can tell. Campbell would probably be my next target, then Josh Connerly. Again, these are all guys that I'm not taking at 10 right? I'm not thrilled about that because I'm not in a pinch. I am starting Braxton Jones. I'm pretty happy about it. But in terms of value, in terms of, hey, this is our succession plan, we don't think we want to pay Braxton 24, 25 million, even if he plays really well. We want to have somebody in line. You better have somebody with a year of seasoning because, as you said, rookie left tackle in the NFL is rugged. One of the offensive line coaches in the NFL said a couple of years ago, there's a werewolf across from you every week. And it's a tough learning curve.